I know it might be wrong, but I'm in love with Stacy's mom. Stacy's mom has got it going on. All that I want. Stacy, can't you see? You're stuck down with me. I know it might be wrong, but I'm in love with you. It is insanely hot. I am roasting. Outside, money, it'll be fine. Yeah, we'll be back. No, money is calling Elliot. I know it might be wrong, but I'm in love with Stacy's mom. It's very true, Brad. Don't do drugs. What the hell's been going on in my fucking house today, dog and cat? Looks like somebody was running around in here acting a damn fool. wanna see your pussy. Everybody says it's nice. Can I come and visit? I'll be at your house tonight. They tell me it's soft to touch and really smooth. I can hardly wait to feel that pussy too. You wanna play with pussy all the time. That's right. To hide that kind of pussy is a crime. You say your pussy's clever and so slick, but I think that your pussy's really thick. Meow. I wanna touch your pussy, show it to me. I wanna see your pussy, show it to me. Show me your pussy, show it to me. I wanna pet your pussy, show it to me. Boom, 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 boom. Boom, boom, boom. Boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 boom. I'll be right back. I have to go get some water. Stay right there. Back up. No, Orly, back up. Yeah, you can. Thank you, baby. Whoa, right on the trampoline bed thing. You left the front door open. Elliot, you cannot leave the front door open under any circumstance. Boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 boom. boom, boom, boom. Bruh. It's time to be, wait. Check wallet for his name. Boom, 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 boom. His face is in the muck. Boom, 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 boom. I think his zipper stuck. Boom, boom, boom. Boom, 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 boom. It's time to operate. Boom, 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 boom. Yep, I got yarn now, but the tufter is broke. No, I can't hand stitch it. I don't have a hand tufter. Stacy's mom has got it going on. Oh yeah. I need to blow dry my hair. It's funny how like 12-year-old boys think that that's some kind of like critique. Like, oh my God, someone asked me if I'm pregnant. I must be fat. Some random person on the internet is just saying things to hurt my feelings, and I'm totally gonna do it, but at work. Totally gonna get my feelings hurt by some random disembodied bot comment on the internet. Whatever shall I do? God. However will I get by? Some random, probably not even actual human being on the internet has some negative comment to say. Really wish my lights didn't flicker every daggum time my AC compressor kicked on. Man, my face is blood red. That I am way overheating. I need to cool down, stat. I'm gonna have a heat stroke. It's called a dingle hopper. It's not a fork. It's a dingle hopper. Get it right. you doing? Basketball. That thing need to be filled up. Do you know where we have a pump of some kind? Do you guys have a ball pumper upper?
Yep, we do, but it doesn't work anymore.
Oh, okay.
Do you guys got a I know who does. Yeah. My friend Everett.
Well, you just have to wait. We're not going to go knock on anybody's door for that. Dad's got one. Daddy's got one. You can get it. That ball's going to give you a little bit of a hard time, Boo Bear, because don't, careful. That's glass. Be very gentle. Okay? Don't, exactly. It's porcelain. I think all the bowling balls are at Daddy's house. Make sure, hey, anything that comes out there goes back, okay, baby? In our rock collection. No trading, no selling. No trading, no selling. Yay. That makes me a happy mommy. It makes me so happy that my son, like, I'm the poor one. I'm the poor mom who, like, lived in a bus and, like, in a van and, you know, whatever. Homesteaded mom. And yet my kid has, like, all the coolest stuff. So all the neighborhood kids come to my house to play with my kid and use all of his stuff because he has all the coolest, you know, odds and bobs. He's got a dirt bike. He's got a trampoline. He's got a unicycle. He's got, you know, all the cool shit. And so he's the cool kid with all the cool stuff. And that makes me extremely happy because, like, my mom was always the mom who, like, my house was the hangout house because my mom would just let us do whatever we wanted. And I understand my mom's twisted logic. My mom, in her twisted mind, she was like, well, I'd rather them drink and smoke and fuck here where I can make sure nobody dies instead of Heather going and partying somewhere else, right? So I understand the twisted logic. I am not that cool. I am so not that cool. But I would prefer my house be the house where everyone can come and get good snacks, play with all the toys, use all the cool stuff. I would love my house to be the central location where everyone comes, you know, everyone can trust me. I am a good keeper of secrets. I am also, you know, a caring mom, so I can always make sure things get taken care of. And I would much rather all the kids come here and play and have a great time than Elliot go somewhere else. Good luck getting a real job. It's just like so fun. I know you don't care because stupid people don't care how stupid they look because they think they're smart. But it's just every time you guys open your mouth, it's you tell on yourselves. It's just like, I'm stupid. I'm a loser idiot. It's like, yeah, we know. We can see. You don't have to tell us. But thanks for letting us know. We do like being warned. What am I getting right now? I think. Thunder rolls and the lightning strikes. The love of cold on a sleepless night. The storm blows on out of control. Wow, wow, wow. Deep in a heart, thunder rolls. I got my baby back, baby back, baby back, baby back, baby back, baby back, baby back. I got my baby back. Baby's back from vacay. Barbecue sauce. I am making a chocolate and marshmallow quesadilla. I love you. I love you. I'm calling you. Where's my tape?
Whatever, wherever, come in little bit together, I'll be there and you'll be near. That's the dear, my dear.
Oh my god, I totally forgot about this shit.
Whatever, whatever.
It's a doo-doo diaper. It's a doo-doo diaper. I'm always afraid I'm gonna break the plastic. My superhuman strength. Good night and good morrow. Ground control to Major Tom. The boys are gonna like this surprise. No, I'm sorry, Ghost Raider. I'm not gonna mod you, no. Yes, I am pregnant. I'm gonna be the first trans woman in human history to give vaginal birth through my neo-vagina. Haven't you seen me on the internet? You know what's funny though, for real? This is all doo-doo. All my Metamucil right here, baby. The baby that I'm gonna give birth to. Thankfully, I don't have to take care of it for 18 years.
Cada vez que yo escucho sensaciones, no razones, something controlar. And there's something no importa, something suciedad. Sensaciones, no razones, something. Bitty bitty bam bam. Bitty bitty bam bam.
I'm filming this at 5 a.m. because they're building a building across the road from me and it's really noisy during the day and I am already melting. It's so hot. Did you know that it's hot? Did you know the temperatures are crazy? Because if you haven't heard yet, let me... Guys, today I want to talk to you about I Will Find You, Netflix's latest Harlan Coben adaptation, because this story is so outrageous and so outlandish. Even the turns have twists, and the twists are twisted. Just hurricaning all around that writer's room. A father in prison for his son's murder receives compelling evidence he might still be alive, prompting him to escape prison to uncover the truth. If you're not familiar with Harlan Coben, he's like the Stephen King of mystery thrillers. He wrote a bunch of books, and they started getting adapted in French TV in the early 2000s. And then it just kind of cascaded and avalanched, and then in 2016, there was a miniseries starring the Dexter guy with a Manchester accent. And that prompted Netflix to sign Harlan Coben a multi-million, multi-year picture deal where they would basically adapt 14 of his novels into miniseries. And somehow, I Will Find You was like the last one on that long list. Guys, the plot is so plotty, whoever was plotting it didn't even know what to plot anymore. It outplotted itself to death, only to genuinely serve a plot twist that we did not see coming. Even the writers were shocked by the end. The story is like soap opera meets Netflix budget, that it starts doing too much. Because you're watching thinking, this is confusing enough, but the series is like, no. We can outdo ourselves, and they outdo themselves over and over again. It's the type of story you have to believe in stupidity and not flip tables every 5 minutes. And even then, there's an urge. It's just so silly, it makes me want to do my British accent. But why don't I save you the 8-hour watch and tell you exactly what happens and why this twist is so ridiculous. Like, they're really doing too much. There is such a thing as you don't need to do it. So why don't you go ahead and subscribe down below if you haven't already, because you're going to look and feel so much better. Also, I wanted to have my dogs in the background, but they're sleeping with their other dad, so not today. Our protagonist is David Burrows, a former law professor currently serving a life sentence for murdering his son. He's 5 years into it, and he tells us in voiceover that although he did not kill his son, he has accepted his punishment because he was in the house, and he failed to protect his son from whoever snuck into the house while he was sleeping, and beat him up with a baseball bat to such an extent they had to run DNA tests to confirm who the body was on that bat. Ooh, that's clue number one. If you have to run tests to identify the victim, someone could have fiddled with the result, right? And David has self-isolated so much that he has refused to receive any visitors in the 5 years that he spent in prison because he really wants to feel the punishment of his shortcomings as a father. And his family all believe they did it. His father, his aunt, his ex-wife Cheryl, his ex-wife's sister Rachel, they all believe that he did it because all the evidence points to it. He suffered from night terrors, during which he blacked out, and there was a key witness, a nosy neighbor.
Oh,
that
Heather,
just
what the
seeing
friggin'
David
frack?
bury the murder weapon in the backyard of their house. What's worse is that David comes from a long line of police officers. And when I say long line, I mean his father. His father was a police officer, a detective. And his father's police detective partner of 20 years, Philip, just so happens to be the warden of the prison where David is serving his sentence. Convenient. He's got someone on his corner. So everyone believes that David is a monster, even David himself. But that all changes when Rachel Mills visits him out of nowhere, 5 years into his sentence. And she's there because a friend of hers went to a Six Flags park and posted some pictures online, and she couldn't help but notice that in the corner of one of those pictures in the background, you can see a little boy, the same age that Matthew would have been if he had not died 5 years prior, and he just so happens to have the same exact birthmark on his cheek. How convenient is it that he has this very identifiable birthmark right in the middle of his face? That's enough to prompt David to ask Philip, his close friend, to get him the files of the case of his son's murder. He goes over the files and he remembers about the nosy neighbor that claimed she saw David bury the murder weapon in the backyard. So he calls Rachel and asks her to come visit him again and they might have some new information. Problem is, there's this guard called Ted Wesson who's been keeping an eye on David, and he just received instructions to make sure that David dies. So there's 2 attempts on David's life. First, an inmate that is really dangerous. He played Jack Hyde in 50 Shades. God, the references. David gets the upper hand, beats him up, and then the guard during the night tries to kill him too. So everybody's trying to kill David and he doesn't know why. But he speaks to Rachel again during one of her visits, and she sets out on a mission to discover what happened that night. If the body they found wasn't Matthew and Matthew was indeed alive, then well, they have to find out who the body was. And she's the perfect person for the job because Rachel used to be an investigative journalist, until she had to quit her job because she pushed a sexual assault victim so much to come forward and give her testimony that she ended up taking her own life. And the guilt made her quit journalism, and I, for one, agree. My God. As I said, the warden is a close friend of David's father, and he's known David his entire life, so he's on his side. So much so that he brings his son Adam. Adam is a police sergeant, and they concoct a plan to break David out of prison, because if someone really is trying to kill him and his son really is alive, he needs to be out there looking for his son, not in here trying to not get killed. And the plan goes swimmingly well. Adam and David swap clothes, and Philip escorts David out until the fucking guard, Ted Wesson, gets wind that something shady is happening. So instead of this being a nice, gentle, calm walking out of prison and getting a few hours head start before the police start looking for him, no, it turns into a full-on prison break where David has to take the warden hostage and threaten to shoot him, and somehow he manages to escape. And he even manages to force the police to remove the spikes off the road, and then he goes in and out of a mall, and that's where he disappears. And he's picked up by Rachel. So David is officially a fugitive, and anyone helping him will be arrested for aiding and abetting a fugitive. And the FBI team assigned to his prison break is father-daughter duo Sarah and Max, a trope that I hear Harlan Coben loves to beat to death. But if Sarah starts struggling with the fact that David might be innocent and they might be chasing someone who is genuinely trying to prove their innocence, Max is like, I don't give a fuck. We are paid to catch them. We're not paid to determine whether or not they're innocent. I just love how
Fine, just don't let the cat out.
the truth and justice are always just like these vague concepts that can be appropriated and inappropriate however you want, however you need to inappropriate for
Take that to the friend.
to
Don't let Orly get it, because it's poison to him. It's got, well, I mean, the quesadilla is a quesadilla. But yeah, it's chocolate and marshmallow. I just made it.
And Ted Wesson is like, oh, they paid me a lot of money, I'm a loose end, I'm gonna die, you don't know how deep this goes. And then shoots himself. At this point, Sarah and Max have been investigating, and they have determined that Rachel picked up David, and Sarah was on her way to Ted Wesson's house. She sees David and Rachel run away, so now they're wanted
Put them
for
in that
murder.
cabinet for now.
And with their best lead now dead, they have to head over to New York because they found out that the nosy neighbor who testified in court moved away weeks later and changed her name and is now living in New York City. Why would she change her name?
Because she stole the child!
On the stand, we'll find out. And when they get to New York, Rachel reaches out to an old flame, an ex-boyfriend, if you will, the one that got away. Hayden is this very pretty boy with a lot of money, a lot of power, and a penthouse in New York. And she asks him if
it feels so tight and so bloated, I need to poop so bad.
Like he very much cares for her to the point where
but I don't actually
and
have
by the end of episode 2, who is digging up the body buried in Matthew
You're full?
Burns'
You don't want it?
If not Adam, David's childhood best friend,
That's got,
police sergeant, and
so it's gonna salty.
This is when the plot starts plotting. See, David's ex-wife, Cheryl, eventually remarried.
Yeah, you need to drink water, baby.
And she's currently 7 or 8 months pregnant.
Why don't you take off those shoes? Take off your shoes and let your feet breathe. Wear my flip-flops. I get it. Socks have elastic in them, which is a synthetic material, which makes your feet hot and sweaty. You will cool down 10 degrees if you just take your socks off.
Hosted by Cheryl herself. And Gertrude makes a sizable donation to Cheryl's charity.
Hey, listen, don't be abandoning your friend outside.
He doesn't want this.
Okay, that's fine.
Guy shadowing
It's literally just marshmallow and chocolate.
Good. Save that name. Back to David's dad.
I feel bad because I don't have any brownies or anything made for you guys.
Turns out, Lenny got
Yeah.
when police saw that his son had killed his grandson, thinking that he
It's
was
messy.
guilty, but he would have never done this
Here.
on purpose, probably knocked out my terror.
I can lick it off.
He decided
Your
when
hands
he
are dirty,
failed to
baby.
bury
You
the
got
murder
dirt
weapon
all
in the
over your
backyard,
hands.
hoping that without a murder weapon they couldn't charge David as
All right, well, don't
easily,
touch the
so
door
he
handle
wanted
with
to
that
save
hand.
his murdering
It's,
son.
just remember, Orly
After
can't
he
have
supposedly
chocolate.
murdered his grandson, even though he thought he was guilty. If you're confused, just good intentions, you know? Good intentions, bad results. But like we say in Portuguese, boas intenções está o inferno cheio. It's like hell is full of good intentions. Because it don't matter what your intention is. What matters is the end result of your action. I'm taking y'all to church now. Guys, it's so hot. I have a fan right in front of my face. Like, can you hear that?
so hot.
And then we informed that Matthew's body was dug up again, and from the description of one of the eyewitnesses who saw the car leaving the scene, they deduced that it was Adam. So they
The memberships are more just like a way for people to kind of give me money without giving me money. I don't really do I don't have any tiers of like, there's not levels to the privacy. I'm just an open, transparent person. So if you watch the live stream, you know, whatever. But some people have just wanted to like send me money, and I can't rationalize people just giving me money like that for no reason. So I made the membership tiers because if people want to just like give me a few bucks, then there's their option to do so in a way that feels less like they're just giving me a couple bucks. You know what I mean? I might be able to poop soon. That would be great because I am over this. It's not so much like bloated. I feel bloated, but it's not bloated. It's just like a brick in my gut. I can't imagine what it must be like to be a teenager and feel like you need to pretend like you're skinny and like suck in all the time. I wouldn't be able to survive today's world as a teenager. Orly, are you hungry? Do you want some food? I could get Orly some food. Yeah? Okay. It looks like somebody was running around in here today and scooching all of the rugs everywhere. That's what it looks like to Mom. I'm not cooking anything anymore. I made a chocolate quesadilla.
And then years later, perhaps even days or months later, looking at it and thinking,
I just ate
dear God, what have I done? For those of you that don't
an
know,
eighth of a
who's my son,
teaspoon
beginning
of
the
RSO.
speech, I am in the process of building out my own Victorian-themed coffee shop. It's probably time for me to level up a little bit. My DIY style is very trash-based, which works for some things, but In terms of a business and a space that needs to actually get checked off by health department, I need to learn how to do more proper construction and more proper DIYs. Seeing as it's gonna be a minute until I can get these grubby mitts onto that coffee shop, I thought we could take care of a couple projects in my house that I did a few years ago and ever since have been irking me. I find them irksome. The first being this sort of Parisian-inspired bathroom that I did back in 2022, which I ever so affectionately dubbed the wee wee room. This wall is all peel and stick. It's not aging well. There are spots that are pulling off. It's like yellowing in spots. Perhaps sunlight coming through. At least, dear God, I hope that that's what it's for. I did not do a great job applying this. Everyone uses this bathroom when they come over, and it just fills me with so much shame. I would love to replace this with real subway tiles, which I've only ever done once in my Practical Magic bathroom. Well, that one's crooked. By George, that makes me an expert. This ain't it. Probably gonna include some math, which is not what I was born to do. I was born to forage potatoes and sit by a warm hearth. You know, we adapt. Okay. Hold, please. One of the first renovations I did in this barn was
My favorite color is teal.
It's just a sheet of plastic, a couple sheets of plastic. I think I just painted over
Favorite
the grill.
place?
It's fine. It gives the illusion pretty much ever since
I don't have a
did
favorite
it,
place.
I'm like,
Usually it's wherever my
I don't
bed
love
is.
the color. I don't love that the rocks have like this digitally printed rock texture. And I don't love that
So,
there's no
right now,
dimensionality to it. About a year later, I did
my favorite
the
place is
stone
my
wall
house.
over there. Much more dimensional and relatively easy to do. That's it. My thoughts. Redo it in that method, maybe even adding a little bit more three-dimensionality. And also joint
That was my
combat,
ex-husband.
which I had to watch my old video from 2022 on how I
had to
did
answer
that
the
well,
phone.
because I had completely forgotten. Here's the complete list of everything that I got. Yeah. Yeah, my God. Mission accomplished. I even got a couple glizzies.
I want to get mud skippers. Do you gotta go potty outside? You gotta go poopy? Is money in the way? Come here, girl. Get out of the way. He's gotta go potty. Easy, buddy. You're gonna hurt yourself. Stop it.
How many of you left that episode
Word.
and went to go find a polyester shirt? How many of you did it? If you did, let me know. Please let me know. I want to know how many people did this. I think I saw maybe 1 or 2 videos of people doing it, but they didn't. And I haven't.
Full of
I should
doo-doo.
Actually, just really quick. John
If
Gray.
it was a fart,
I have not heard John
I would have felt
Gray's
better
take
hours
on
ago.
this. I know Trigger Smart has learned a lot from John Gray as well, so I have not heard his take on this whole thing. I would love to know what he thinks about this, and if he thinks this is even possible with what he has put together in his research. He hasn't commented. I checked last night, he didn't say anything. Maybe on his next podcast appearance he's going to talk about it, but I would love to know what he thinks about this theory, if he thinks this is a possibility, because I know that episode with him and Trigger Smart had this episode that they did, and he was talking about the reason that there's no smoke, the type of battery it is, wouldn't let off fire, wouldn't let off smoke, or anything like that. But I don't recall him saying whether or not it would burn material. So, again, I would just love to know what John Gray thinks about this. If anybody's watching it, they could get in contact with John Gray. I would love to hear what he thinks about this. But let's get into it. Was this part of a shirt? Left. The object in the car. Right. The burned shirt. Where is Charlie's shirt? Charlie's shirt's long gone. Or maybe Brian Harple has it in the backpack. Maybe that's what he was offering to Sean Ryan. Maybe on the next podcast appearance he makes, he's going to offer it to the next host. I got this shirt. It's covered in it's Charlie's shirt. You guys want it? You guys want it? You want to hang it up somewhere in your studio? You can hang it up wherever you want, man. Come on, man. Go ahead. Go ahead. No, it's fine. I ain't washed it once. Go ahead and smell that. You smell the iron. I don't know. Maybe that's what he's going to do. I have no idea. Maybe he has the shirt. I mean, if he was in the hospital and he cut it off, jumped on Charlie.
A what?
Okay, nurses,
Okay.
doctors, go
That's
ahead.
fine.
I was like, I got one for
They're
you
like,
for
hey,
the
man,
friends
hey,
as well.
hey,
You got me one?
what are you doing?
Levi, thank you.
Titus didn't want
In
this.
the hospital.
Oh, thank
You
you.
got Frank
Cheers.
Doing what
Boop.
Frank does. Just on
Thank
constant
you.
crash out
Yeah.
mode,
That
you
was
know?
so sweet.
His phone's still in his pocket.
I
People are like,
figured
what are you
since you-
doing? He's
since you did
the
something nice
ultimate
for us,
person. 9
I
hours
did something nice
dial,
for
you
you.
know?
Thank
And-
you. That's
and
awesome.
Flood
Thank
on the
goodness he
phone,
didn't want it.
Just like, Mr. Shapiro,
I would've
please
got
let
one
Mr.
anyway.
Shapiro know
Oh,
what
you
happened.
silly.
We
Thank
need
you.
This whole circus kicks off, and then you got minty Brian Harple jumping on Charlie, cutting off his shirt. You're probably like, get these guys out of here. This is insane. I've never seen anything like this.
How sweet was that?
Let's get into Candace. Let's stop the rambling. Let's get into what Candace has to say about this shirt. All these professionals that contacted Candace. Very interesting stuff. I would love to hear from someone in the fashion industry about this. Maybe Blake. Maybe Blake can tell us. I don't know if you guys know. He's in the fashion industry. Clearly. I don't know if you guys picked up on that at all. I'm just saying. He's clearly in the fashion industry, so a little respect on his name. Just a little bit of respect on his name. I think he could, I would love to hear his take on this whole thing, you know, to being honest here. Let's go. Where? There it is. Let's go. Jump in here. That is not the clip. Okay, there's the clip. Let's go.
Okay, so top of show, very quickly, I want to share with you guys those very interesting flutter of emails, unexpected, that we received when we asked the question before we went on air. We released more photos from inside the vehicle that Charlie was transported to the hospital in, and you can make out what looks to us to be those shards of glass from the road mic. There was this one identifiable object that was left in the back of the car. You guys might remember it, the one that I remarked sort of looks like a burnt piece of cardboard. I didn't really know what to make of it. Why does this look like a burnt piece of cardboard with blood, but sort of thickened?
Good.
Here it is a little closer
Good deal.
here.
Trash.
Well, we open that question to you guys because I'm not an expert at everything. What I am good at is trusting other people to be experts at things and accumulating a bunch of information from
Stay
that.
outside.
When a pattern in the emails emerge, I suspect that there's something there.
Elliot, the front door.
We had, oddly, people in the fashion industry reaching out, a ton of them,
Strawberry
insisting
lemonade, I think.
immediately and persistently that what we were looking at
I have one
was the
child.
remains of a T-shirt. Huh? What?
My neighbor,
Excuse me? Okay,
my
what
next
are we
door
talking
neighbor's
about?
son
We had a
brought
range,
this
by
to
the way.
me.
We had people who were stay-at-home mothers who have sewed their own kids'
The
clothing, people in the fashion industry, and on top of that, doctors, plastic surgeons who emailed and said, "You are looking at a shirt." So with that full spectrum, I thought, oh, we got to take a look at this. They were informing me that when polyester mix, or a polyester, entirely polyester shirts burn, they turn into what looks like an almost hardened plastic or cardboard. And I'm going to read you just one of these comments and one of these emails so you can just, I guess, see what we were receiving. Here's a YouTube comment.
Hey, hold on. Someone just said they have a shirt they're gonna check. Let me tell you something, okay? You gotta be careful, man. I don't know why Candace didn't say this. Do not try this at home, guys. Just relax. Just relax, okay? With your shirts and whatnot. Keep your shirts, keep your collars, okay, guys? Just keep your shirts, keep your collars, okay? Don't worry. Don't worry. You don't have to. Don't. Please. I don't need anybody being like, I was watching Coach Call. Burns up. I was watching Coach Colin. He didn't say to take off the shirt. 3rd-degree burns. Down to my belly button, up to my nipples. This is because of him. I don't need all that. Okay? Alright? Do not try this at home. Alright? Just keep your collars, keep your shirts. We're good. Okay, Candace already did the work. Okay? She already did the work. It's fine. It's fine. Principal doesn't give you homework. Principal is not giving you homework. She's a principal. You know? Anyway.
Comment that came in. Really bad internet here. I tried to respond when talking about the little square thick piece. I have been making clothing for years as a mother of 10. This piece is a collar from the t-shirt. The black would more than likely be from the burning of the explosion, but the thick folded and end that's facing the camera, most surely the bias band, the seam of the t-shirt that looks clearly cut off. Again, this was echoed by people in the fashion industry. And then from our tips inbox, we got this from an actual doctor. Take a listen to this. I mean, I'm going to read this email to you. It said, please call me a plastic.
Reckless Ben is a YouTuber who has recently gone viral for exposing the Lego theft committed by Bricks and Minifigs. And in today's episode, we're going to be going over his entire life story. From dropping out of college to being one of the best slackliners in the world.
Check out this super scary moment.
To going on television shows like Tosh.0.
Calls himself Reckless Ben.
And even exposing creepy cults and evil organizations like McCamey Manor. Ben has faced extreme censorship throughout his 7-year YouTube career.
My last video got taken down, incorrectly taken down. YouTube keeps taking down all my videos. They're removing 3 of my videos. Right now, I'm 100% censored.
So much so that he's even had to be homeless, sleeping in his car or on Santa Monica Beach.
Most of my career, I've just been living out of my car. This is our house. I just slept on the beach for like 3 months, I think. I just had a sleeping bag. Sometimes I'll sleep on like a bridge or something.
I've been friends with Ben since 2020 and have exclusive access that helped me create this video. So get ready to learn about one of YouTube's wildest creators as we go inside the life of Reckless Ben. Ladies and gentlemen, in this video we're going to be getting a first-hand look inside the life of Reckless Ben. We're going to be going over your career.
Let's do it.
And interestingly enough, me and Ben met very early on in our YouTube careers.
Yeah, with the balloon challenge.
Guys, this is my first vlog ever. I'm so excited. First vlog ever.
Hire a balloon in your nose and then pull it out your mouth.
Yeah, that's horrible.
This game sucks.
I met Ben in July of 2020, like 4 or 5 weeks after I started YouTube. And he had just finished living in his car, and you had finally moved into a place, right?
Oh, yeah. We met right when I first got a house, yeah.
Yeah, because you and Michael Fortner, who runs the
Reckless Ben is fucking.
Shorts channel.
What do you think would be more cool? Being bit by a spider and turning into Spider-Man? Or being bit by a
Cock
turtle
D?
and turning into Turtle Man? Spider-Man?
Spider-Man, Spider-Man's cool.
Spider-Man?
Yeah, you can swing from buildings. He was living in his car and I was living in my car, yeah. We both had like a $2,000 car. It was just like the cheapest cars ever. Like both of the cars were breaking apart. Like I had no window. My door didn't close all the way. And I literally had to drive while holding my door closed. I had no power steering, no air conditioning. It was better than being homeless.
In my mind, you were
I was
pretty
homeless for a while, so the car was an upgrade. Even though it was the worst car ever, it still was an upgrade.
Did you sleep on Venice Beach for a time?
Nah, Santa Monica for like a couple months. It was fun. I would just sleep in the slackline park, wake up, slackline, go to sleep, wake up, slackline, go to sleep. It was fun.
The video that Ben was filming when I met him was he had found the location where Churdley's lived, who's now been our friend for years. He was delivering him a bunch of pizzas.
Oh, thanks. They found my house.
Please don't be outside screaming at the top of your lungs, lower. Okay?
Going great, except Chad really wasn't in the mood to party right now. We had to trick him into getting drunk, but I always come prepared.
So we just like showed up to his house with all these pizzas and knocked on his door.
Yeah, it was sick.
And I was filming my acting like I'm the man in Hollywood videos.
Hey, yo, Chadley's! Chadley's!
Hey, Churdley's, you don't recognize me?
No.
You don't recognize me from the video we shot?
No.
Acting like I'm the man. You never seen a man before?
What video?
Yeah, Churdley's. That's some kind of cheddar cheese potato chip name? So it was like our videos were coinciding.
Then we threw a pizza party at his house. It was sick.
We're here in Ben's office. Before we go into a deep dive of Ben's career, I wanted to show you a look around his office. Here, Ben shows us his editing setup. This is where the LEGO series has been edited, the McKamey Manor series.
Here's the setup for my two screens. So this is where all my sound effects go, is on this screen. I have all my sound effects. On here, I put my, like, the big screen of the video, and then I put my timeline on the computer down here. I guess this is, like, kind of the sound effects screen, or the, like, any of the, like, Finder things, like, if I need to, like, import screenshots and stuff, and so I can just, like, drag them into the timeline really easily. We got a heater, because a lot of times it gets really cold, so I just, like, blast this on. It's, like, on my face, and it's just, I'll just be like, oh, I'll just put my face in it, and it's, like, really warm. Yeah, we got my pull-up bar, and we got a weight vest. Not only is it hard because they're finger pull-ups, but you can also make it even harder with the weight vest.
Is your shoulder good enough to do some finger pull-ups?
I guess I could try like one maybe. Let's see if I can.
I mean, I definitely can't even remotely do a finger pull-up.
I've been up for almost 24 hours. I'm like dead. Let's see if I can.
Yeah.
Kinda.
I could do a
That was
pull-up.
pretty good.
Oh, I got all my Lego props over here. In the Lego Club Cult, we hung these like Lego lanterns. Oh wait, here's this. This is the official Lego Club poster, like on the pole. Yeah. We got like the Lego hands. Oh, what's this? This is what we hung over the first time when we got way too small. The bricks and minifigs we steal from old people. That was the cape we wore for the Lego Club. We were like trying to make it like a cult. This is fucking cult. What the heck?
What?
This is the exact cape
You
that
go
we wore
under
with
my
the Lego
cord.
Queen. We put a bunch of like Legos. We're still super glued to it, I guess. This is the exact cape you wore. Well, here's the barf bags we're selling. We had a Lego flashlight for when we were putting the stuff up. It's like a Lego flashlight.
It says chew necklaces for anxiety. That's what it says. I need this. Legit. Oh, I get it. Yeah, dude. Feel that.
Well, yeah, we got Lego balloons still. This is what we were giving away when we did the lottery.
Can we see the bathroom?
Oh, shoot. Yeah, I never use this bathroom. It's kind of like out of commission. I mean, I don't really ever shower at the office. I got my sock lines right here, I guess. Oh, we got Victor from Victor's World jacket. That's probably the only
Iconic.
We got, oh, these are my costume drawers. I have very small
This
drawers.
is so boring. I guess I will go put on regular clothes and I'll start exercising, and then maybe if I just like do some like squats for a minute, I'll either fart or I'll have to poop or both. Either way, win. Where are we at? 39%. Just come back down here later. I'm not sure who I just accidentally... I'm going upstairs! I love being a mom. Elliot is literally racing on his scooter with the other boys who both have scooters, and they're going like literally as quick as they can. Cars! Be careful for those cars in the parking lot. Just don't hit a car. He was like scootering on his, he was like scooting on his scooter, and then he jumped off the scooter while it was at top speed, and the scooter kept going, and he like started running. Oh Jesus, all the ACs are on in the house, apparently. I'm paying for the world to be cool. Alright, let's see if I can find one of my onesies. I wore my bodysuit onesie thing that I was wearing last night to work today, and it ended up being so flabbin' hot that I had to take off my work overalls, my Carhartts. I had to take them off, and I was literally just like chipping wood in my like onesie. It was so insanely hot today, and my onesie thing is like made out of synthetic material apparently, so it makes it so much sweatier.
I figure now that the dust has settled, it's been some time since Euphoria finished, I could finally finish.
No, I'm not
talking
from
about
Oregon.
it. So let's talk about it. In the previous video, I focused a lot more on the controversies surrounding the show, but in this one, we're going to prioritize the themes and characters. And at the very end of the extended version, I'll get to the controversies and hate watching Sam and all that stuff, because I saw your comments. I understand. Still feel how I feel, but also understand. Anyway, so whether you like Sam or not, the show came out, it did its thing, and
No,
I think it
you
makes more
shouldn't.
sense to criticize the actual show and its
I'm not
elements,
interested in
or
talking
to
to
just kind of
anybody.
unpack them. So let's start with some of these themes. Before we do that, bunch of Neckham High, my name's Khadija. Feel free to take a look around, suss out the vibe. You know what it is. Sorry, I'm also talking with a bit of a list because I had to change I had to change my Invisalign tray today, and the first few days are always a little like anyway. So in May interviews, Sam has said that he wanted the show to feel like a Western, and he wanted it to feel like a Western because your 20s are kind of like that. We've seen these characters in high school, we've seen them in this very contained world, and now they're out in the big world. The cinematography is very big. I've talked about all of this. It's very cinematic in terms of its music as well, not just because Hans Zimmer is involved, but because even when Hans and Labyrinth were supposed to be working together, that was a feel, that it's Euphoria, but bigger. This Western theme is not only omnipresent in terms of the cinematography and how everything feels more high stakes, but also in just the aesthetic of the show. It's very dusty. It's very orange at times. And when it's not orange, there's lots of yellow. Some of the shots that he chose to have, the close-ups in the face, the shootout at the end, you know. I didn't know that much about Westerns before starting this, and I had to go to Wikipedia because I was like, girl, what does it mean? What does it mean? Anyway, the Western depicts a society organized around codes of honor and personal, direct, or private justice. Frontier justice dispensed by gunpots. These honor codes are often played out through depictions of feuds or individuals seeking personal revenge or retribution against someone who has wronged them. And you see this with Ali at the end because it really kicks into the Western part in the second half of the season, but more so the last episode. It's like, all right, this is just becoming a revenge story, and he's getting retribution or frontier justice against not just Alamo, but all the people that are selling drugs and fentanyl, because we'll get to why fentanyl became the primary focus and less so Rue and her addiction. But yeah, the Tarantino Western vibes were all throughout this season, and I think it would be interesting to see Sam direct a Western, write and direct one for film, and maybe just have some other people in the room. So one of the main themes that a lot of people took issue with was this sex and sex work themes. Sex has always been a part of Euphoria. It has been a part of the show, and even sex work from the very first season with Kat in her room with that kitten mask, doing all that stuff on the internet, girl. But for some reason this season, it was really, really turned up. A lot of people weren't that comfortable with it for many different reasons that I talked about in the first video. The other issue that people had was that all of the female characters were somehow involved with sex work or interacting with it. Lexi being the furthest away, but still interacting because her sister Cassie was doing OnlyFans. Cassie does OnlyFans. Rue works for Alamo after working for Lori for a while, starts working for Alamo, and Alamo's in the business of pussy, as he says. So she's in her dream job because Rue's now a horny lesbian. We'll get to Rue. Maddie represents OnlyFans models. She doesn't only represent them, and at first she's not really representing them. She's an assistant to a manager, but she is still involved in that world because she doesn't care what people do. She doesn't judge people for what they do. She's just like, I'm trying to make this money, and I don't think they're bad people. They're meant to be getting a little naked, but who cares? Of course, she eventually does, it's heavily implied, sleep with Alamo to help out Cassie when Nate is in trouble and owes all that damn money. Also, Jules is a sugar baby. I think in the first half of the season, I was excited about this exploration of sex work, and I don't typically get, let's say, offended if it's a man or a woman behind the scenes. I definitely notice more when there are women behind the scenes and women involved, for sure. But in the first half, I think it did seem like Sam was getting somewhere and was making some sort of commentary. In interviews, he's talked about how he's surprised at how casual and everywhere sex work is, how it just seems like we're all prostituting ourselves online to some degree. And that's sort of a philosophy I would agree
Why
with.
are men,
being
like,
on
why
here
are
talking
you
to
guys,
y'all. I
like,
might not be butt-ass naked, but I'm
there's
still
nothing about what I'm
prostituting
doing
part
that
of
is
myself
like
to you guys. And I think people get
for
more
the
up in arms
male
when you're naked doing
attraction.
it and your body's involved and all that stuff, as
Please don't be
opposed to when you're
creepy.
sharing your
I'm
ideas.
just sitting here
people
minding
put a
my own
moral
fucking
judgment on
business.
that. It's all the same. We're all whoring ourselves.
Definitely not wearing anything
What
intentionally
men want,
sexy. I'm
people
wearing
in
like
general want. What they'll
baggy,
pay for, that becomes the
frumpy,
world, and we are
lumpy.
all whores from this.
What are you
So,
doing?
and I think the characters of Trish, Angel, and Kitty were examples to kind of show us maybe the not so cute sides of that inevitable. You're constantly used to prostituting yourself in terms of personality, in terms of always selling yourself. You're a brand, you're selling, you're marketing yourself to people. You may as well just do it with your body. People are all on OnlyFans, people are at the club doing it. Sometimes it's cute and a lot of times it's not. And I think that there was room to explore that and also give these strippers more interior lives that's not just the job that they do and how crazy it is, because I think that that was also a criticism. It just felt like Samantha did not have the range to be talking about sex workers, sex work themes, and like, I think he really wanted to make that a theme, but then also was trying to do too much. I think he should have just kind of left it as a wayside. Maybe there could have been some strip club moments, obviously, because it's Euphoria, it wouldn't surprise me, but yeah, the first half of the season, it looked kind of promising.
Really, you're just gonna have to
and
wait
then
for
it
him
just
to be
kind of
done playing with
completely
his
fell off.
friends,
Kitty
dude.
gets her booty, and she's talking about how she doesn't know how much it costs or how much she's gonna owe Alamo, and the girls were like, girl, that's just bad business. But like, it's never really stated amongst the girls that they know that Alamo traffics the other girls once they leave. You know what I mean? And so if Kitty ends up owing him money for that BBL, how long is she gonna owe him money? Is there interest? Just like Maddie owed him money, and she thought, oh, he was like, girl, I'm not doing none of this shit for free. I told you I'm in the business of pussy. I'm trying to make this money. Women will never get over on me. We'll talk about Alamo. The first half left a lot to be desired, because then when we got into the second half, I don't think were enough episodes, and I think there was just a need to kind of like try to tie it all together and make Rue a hero inadvertently, and her and Alamo meeting each other because of God, and we'll talk about the religion in a second, was actually because Alamo would do that shit to her, would end up killing her, and then Ollie would take justice on him, and she also helped get Lori out. So like, technically Rue did in a way help those people, but because sex has always been a part of the show, maybe Sam wanted to include it in there and was trying to figure out a way to do it, and it just felt like it was more for the spectacle of it all and less for exploring this theme and seeing it on a deeper level. By it, I mean sex workers and the job that they do and this human trafficking element. There's just so much that he was trying to fit in that was implied, and like, okay, cool, but I think when you have so many women at the forefront of your cast and most of them are going to be involved in some way, shape, or form in the sex work themes, you would think that it would
Really
become
just like,
more
why
of a
does it have to be so
priority.
much
That
work
and the
to
addiction.
have
Those could have been the two
a
things that we
bud
covered, but it said we got
that
that,
makes
we got
you
a
strong
Western, and
and
we got this
capable?
religious stuff. stuff.
That's what I want. I want to be strong and capable.
So Sam has talked about how all the seasons of Euphoria are kind of
And
like
it's
the
like
first
very
few steps of
difficult.
AA.
You know, I looked at it almost through the lens of AA. The first
Like,
season is,
pick up heavy things.
we're powerless over drugs and our life has become unmanageable. The second season is came to believe that only a power greater than us can restore us to sanity. And the third season is made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understand it.
And I didn't know there was a religious component of AA, and not for everybody, but yeah, I didn't realize he was so religious, or at least believed in God in this way. And I think it's because I look around at the world and I'm like, y'all still believe? But that's just me. There was a lot of religious imagery throughout the entire season. Rue at that burning bush at the end of one of the episodes that, like, we never understand why the bush is burning. It just randomly caught on fire. So maybe there were elements of supernaturalness in it. When she first starts listening to the Bible while she's driving Uber, and then there's lightning when God says, let there be light. And like I said before, the sort of twisted way of God bringing Rue and Alamo together that she says in the very first episode. Rue thinks it's a way to escape Lori, but it's actually a way to intersect with all of them, be involved in the DEA, get Lori's ass and her crew taken out, get Alamo taken out by Allie. Like, it's like all of those things was all according to plan. That's also the whole story of how she is kind of like Moses in a way, trying to get to the promised land, aka the homestead that she's at the very beginning of the season with that Instagram model. Ollie tells her, you know, just so you know, Moses never made it to the promised land. Technically, neither does Rue. Some people didn't really like this religious pivot because it doesn't really make sense, not just for Rue as a character, which I'll talk about
Come
for characters, but for the
guts.
show in general, because
Do
it wasn't
your
ever
stuff.
really that super. Like, there was definitely religious imagery. End of season 1, Lord, you know I'm trying. She's in the church. Like, there's definitely religious-y elements to it, but it never seemed this strong. Like, this whole season, it was really a lot of that. And all of the characters, besides maybe Lexi, just seem to be like believe in God and not really have any atheism or agnostic arguments to kind of counter with. Again, besides Lexi, but even by the end, she's kind of like, oh, the Bible's kind of powerful. And in a time period where it just feels like the far right, Christian nationalist, religious right is just really taken over in so many different parts of the world. With that comes the most egregious, aggressive, atrocious parts of patriarchy and what people believe masculinity should be, and how women therefore should then be subjugated and treated as second-class citizens and stuff. You know, it comes with all of that. Again, I've talked about religion a lot. You can be religious and not be believing in all that other stuff. It can be a very personal relationship between you and whatever God you serve. However, that's not what these Christian nationalists are doing. And so many people seem to be turning to God. I've made videos about this as well. Going back to God, going back to being celibate, looking for answers somewhere. Because again, the world is a mess. Look around. It makes sense that people are trying to find answers somewhere. And for some people, those answers are found in religion. For a character like Rue, I'm not saying it's completely out of the ordinary. She can change her mind. Hello. But when I talk about her character in general, it's just there were other ways that this could have happened besides her just saying, all right, then fine, fuck it. I'm just going to believe in God. I want to believe that that can happen, but I don't know. There's some people that might be destroyed. Either way, the religious themes were a bit heavy-handed and were just kind of like cool, I guess. But
yes,
again, there was a lot happening,
here.
and I think
So
if we
glad I decided to
focused
look
on
there.
maybe just the sex work elements and the addiction part, we could have had a cool story that was still expanding.
The RSO
Euphoria
is starting to
world,
kick
but
in.
still felt like Euphoria, or at least still felt like these characters were the priority, or at least still felt like the main theme of addiction and drugs was the priority. Rue's addiction has been the main point of this story since the very beginning because it's taken inspiration from Sam's life. He was an addict, and Zendaya has famously said that it has given her hope for the character of Rue to see how far Sam has come because he was in similar situations. A lot of the stories are based off of life situations that he had. The first couple of seasons, you really see Rue struggle with her addiction. You see her struggle with her mental health issues. You see it affect everybody around her. And then in this season, it just kind of seems more matter of fact and kind of like, yeah, Rue's just gonna be a drug addict. Which, I'm gonna be honest, when you know an addict, sometimes it does get to that point where you're like, they just gonna do what they gonna do. We can't. What are we gonna do? Who gonna fix it? You know. But it really didn't feel like there was much of a struggle for her. It didn't really feel like, even though she had relapsed, that it was as bad, and maybe she was more functioning now, fine, fair. But yeah, it just, the theme and the main point of her being addicted and struggling with that addiction and how it affected the people around her, especially in a larger world where she's having to pay back Lori, do all this other stuff. That would have been interesting to see, but it just kind of felt like her addiction problem was solved, and then she ends up getting murdered by fentanyl. Because I think the main thing that Sam wanted to talk about was the fentanyl crisis. Ali has this great monologue in the last episode talking about it, and this is because, of course, Angus Cloud, who played Fez, died of a fentanyl overdose. And, you know, they make a point at the beginning of the season to talk about how dangerous it is, how it doesn't take much to kill you, how people accidentally overdose all the time. So he wanted to tell this story as well, but again, I just feel like
doggy.
the struggle of that addiction.
Elliot will be back inside soon. I know you want him in.
Again, it was just biting.
Playing with his friends, buddy. I know.
People didn't really like
He's
the
growing
ending
up.
as a result of that.
You gotta
because
let
Sam
go a
wanted
little
to tell
bit.
the story and wanted to honor Angus, so Rue had to die. Sam talks about how Zendaya wasn't at first super happy with it, but like understood that it had to end this way. And people were divided about that. A lot of people were like, "This is so pessimistic. What the heck?" And that same story I told you earlier about Zendaya having hope.
I mean,
for Rue
most
as a
people who
character
do
because of how
fucking
far Sam
fentanyl
came. Yes,
die.
but also more times than not.
The only people that
No,
I
more
know
times
who
than
didn't
not, you
die
succumb to
from
addiction.
fentanyl quit.
And I
doing
think it would have
it.
been more interesting to see her slowly succumbing to her addiction throughout the season and then the fentanyl killing her, as opposed to she didn't really take anything or do anything and then she took the fentanyl and it killed her. And I understand that it's to say like, this shit happens out of nowhere and you can't predict it. It's terrible. It only takes one. I didn't hate the ending. It was very sad. I cried a lot. Check it out on my reaction channel. I reacted to the whole season. If you guys haven't seen my reaction channel, I don't know. I think Angus dying really threw off a lot of stuff, his original plans, and so I don't take issue with them honoring him in this way. But anyway, let's talk about the characters, because I think apart from all of those themes being kind of all over the place and a bit too much to really like fully flesh out and then develop over 8 episodes or 7, I think, the characters seem to have really been different people, and that was what I struggled with a bit more, if I'm being honest. Some in particular. So Nate, the Nate that we meet at the beginning of season 3 is a Cybertruck driving, construction scamming, neuter version of his former self. Nate was scary. He was scary, especially because he was a teenager. It was like, you're this sociopathic now? What are you gonna be like when you get older? Nate was terrifying in the first 2 seasons of Euphoria. And in the second season, you did see that there was a moment where it seemed like maybe he was slowly trying to become a better person. Lexi does the play. They do I Need a Hero. Nate is pissed off. He has a lot of internalized homophobia and issues with his sexuality, but he also acknowledges that he's like, that was the most homophobic thing I've ever seen. Like, what? And he low-key was right, because like, y'all kind of outed him, but like, anyway. And then on top of that, he sends his daddy not to jail. We find out he doesn't go to jail, but he does call the cops on his dad and make sure that Jules is out of it by giving her back her tape. And Jules even asks him, what, are you like a good person now? And he's like, me? Nah. So when we meet him and he is annoyed with Cassie
I've never
for
seen this
doing
show,
the
so-
OnlyFans thing, but then he's still like, who's a bad doggy? And like, is just very like playing this role of suburban husband. At first, I thought the mask was gonna come off and he was gonna eventually just like show his true nature, but it never did. He just was like a weak and feeble.
I believe the forces around him had a different interest than he had, and they conspired to ensure that the path that they wanted moved forward. They have shared a lot of data with me that I can't share because it would expose them, because nobody else would be able to have this data. And so it's damning, and it's really unnerving. Well, I would say he would be my number 1 suspect if I was approaching this case, because he is the key denominator of all the key evidence. He's involved in every piece of key evidence that they have that ties Tyler to this event. And so the FBI went after my family. They had drones flying over my mom's house. They set up cameras in the woods around my mom's house. I'm not trying to own a narrative or, be the guy that came up with this theory. I'm just trying to arrive at the truth.
Hello and welcome back to Off Script. Today we have special guest John Aaron Bray. John, how's it going?
Good to be back.
All right, now let's just go ahead and jump right into it. That's how I like to do things. I don't like wasting time. So in one sentence, what do you currently believe happened to Charlie Kirk?
I believe the forces around him had a different interest than he had, and they conspired to ensure that the path that they wanted moved forward, and they took whatever steps necessary to ensure that moved forward. I think that's kind of the best synopsis of the situation I have now.
So what's the single strongest piece of evidence that supports your current theory?
I'll say the necklace. The necklace is the hardest kind of one item to explain with the official story of what happened.
Yeah, I would agree. It's been a very interesting back and forth. Some people talk about the movement, how strange the movement was of it, and others say that maybe it itself was the thing.
Yeah.
And then you have people like Rob
dry my
O'Neill,
hair.
who's like, there's no way that would happen from a gunshot. Like, hands down. He's killed a bunch of people up close. He says, he's
You are
he's very experienced. He's like,
too
there's
much for me,
zero
bud.
chance that was a gunshot. So let's see what happens. Do you think that there's any chance that what we're seeing could have some other explanation besides some kind of energetic event or a gunshot? Is there any other explanation? Because I know you've been digging pretty deep into this stuff. Is there any other options? Like,
Yeah, I try to weigh my bias to other possibilities, and in my mind, the only possibility that really makes sense is that the bullet struck in or around the microphone area, and that kind of causes the reaction that we see. And then the neck wound is just being misappropriated to being the actual impact site when the impact site was in and around the microphone. But there's a lot of problems with that. Like no one solution is perfect. I just try to kind of reconcile all the things that we did see that's very solid that we know happened, and have an explanation that kind of balances all those things out the best.
what's your actual role in the Tyler Robinson case? I know we've talked about some of this stuff before, but for people that maybe this will be the first time they've ever seen you, is this a case where you're like an independent researcher, defense consultant, potential witness, or something else?
I'm just an independent researcher. I act like a defense consultant. I'm kind of an unpaid defense consultant. I'll send all of my forensic packages. I craft them in the way that a defense consultant would, and I've sent all of them to Tyler Robinson's defense. I don't hear anything back, but I assume they've been seen. And then I publish all my data on my website, followtheepicenter.com. And so it's a kind of a two-pronged approach where I feed my forensics directly to his defense, but I also make it open source so anyone that wants to see it and examine it can. And there's been a lot of great feedback. People have found mistakes, like when you run through so much data, like you're bound to make mistakes, overlook things, and people are really good about pointing out little flaws and things, and I try to correct them as fast as I can, and re-upload the corrected redacted versions.
Well, and that's a good sign to know if someone's acting in good faith or not.
Yeah.
Is if they are willing to correct mistakes.
Yeah.
And there are some people in the Charlie Kirk investigation who are married to something, and even if something comes out against that, no matter what, they keep going with that one thing, and then they start attacking the other investigators and the other people looking into it. But it seems like everything I've seen so far, you've mostly taken like a defensive posture. You don't really go after other people. And I think part of that is probably more because you're in it for the truth. You want to know what actually happened, as opposed to, I think it was this, and no matter what, I'm going to push this thing because that's my brand now.
Yeah, I try to detach my ego from it as much as possible. Like your ego is probably your worst enemy in life. So whenever someone comes at me, I always try to make it constructive. So I try to take their momentum, which is trying to generally online when people do come at you, they're trying to like bruise your ego or break your position, and I try to use their momentum to continue my pursuit. So their energies aren't wasted if I take them and use them. If I deflect them or I get defensive, then their energy is wasted. It's wasted energy on my part. So I try to make good use of their time and my time, honor their efforts as much as I would honor my own, even if they're being rude and calling me names. They're generally people have a point, and if you really look at it unbiasedly, you can kind of make use of it and make your position stronger if you allow yourself to really take it in and examine it.
I agree. There's been some people who are definitely, we'll just say, not Candace or Barron or anti-narrative friendly. And there's been a few times where there's some information that was put out, and then they would comment. And initially I was irritated the way they commented, but then I would look at the information and dig deeper in. I was like, oh yeah, they're actually right. And you'll miss that if you're just all ego saying I'm right, you're wrong, no matter what.
Yeah.
So obviously there's some risk with these type of investigations. Usually it's just like a social risk. Occasionally it can go to physical. But what's the greatest personal or professional risk that you've taken by attaching your name to the investigation?
Well, it definitely could limit my scope of work. Like, I'm a professional consultant, so you know, a lot of my work could be in the scope of public kind of funds, be it government contracts and such. So it definitely puts me at risk
Always doing
as
crazy
being
shit.
passed over for those sort of things. But luckily, in the past, I've learned that government contracts are probably the worst work to do. So it's actually saving me heartache because I'll much rather work with private parties than to be under the thumb of the government. So, you know, it was a weighed risk, but a risk worth taking.
So has this affected? So obviously that's the business side of things. Have you had it affect any like family or friendships in that kind of way?
No, my brother was a J6er, and so the FBI went after my family. They had drones flying over my mom's house. They set up cameras in the woods around my mom's house. So my family's not exactly like pro-government. So as far as like direct family and the people that know us, they know how we've been negatively affected, kind of by undue government pressure. So it doesn't hurt me there. As far as like I live in Choctaw territory, so, you know, they're not exactly the most pro-government. It's kind of a nation within a nation. So Oklahoma is pretty independent. So as far as the people in Oklahoma, they've been great. They love me. You know, I hadn't had any issues with people that live around me. And, you know, church life, I'm you know, I go to an Orthodox church. I'm not Orthodox yet, but and they're wary of the government also. So it hasn't really. I find myself in circles that they're all very accepting to this sort of work. So.
Yeah, it sounds like you've been really fortunate. So let's say, hypothetically, all this stuff goes through, we go to trial, which we still don't know yet. We'll know that on like September 1st. If we go to trial, and they show like undisputable evidence that it was Tyler Robinson and it was the 30-06 or some type of gun, and we know there's other people involved. Let's say he's the main one that planned it and did the bullets and shot and everything. Would you take it personally, or what would it mean to you personally if your central theory that it was the energetic event from the road mic, if it were conclusively actually disproven?
Yeah, I'm just trying to reconcile the truth. So if they provide me with information that would help me reconcile the things I can't explain with any other means other than the microphone, then I would be happy with that. Like, I'm not trying to own a narrative or, you know, be the guy that came up with the theory. I'm just trying to arrive at the truth. So if they provide me with information that helps me arrive at that, then I'll be thankful for that, and I'll make corrections, and, you know, the website will reflect that. So it's not. I'm not trying to like make a career being like the Charlie Kirk conspiracy guy. It's really something I would like to put to bed as soon as the truth is apparent.
All right, now just changing gears. So obviously we've looked at kind of your theory, and I think a lot of people, if they haven't seen, there's been several interviews on the Trigger Smart channel, but this here today we're going to cover more about John himself as well. So what's the earliest childhood experience that helps explain the person that you became?
Installing equipment with my dad. My dad, you know, I was born into a fourth generation kind of textile processing family, and my dad inherited a second generation dry cleaning operation in Houston, Mississippi, where I was born. And that was a tough road. Small town cleaners is very limiting in what you're able to get done. He had a government contract to kind of develop, be a consultant for a blue jean operation that was coming to town, and he basically told him that it was going to ruin the whole water. It's kind of like the data centers now, where these blue jean operations would come to small towns, they would get special favors, and they would just ruin the water for everyone in the area. He warned them of that. They kind of ignored him. And a few other things happened, and he was just had enough. So we moved to Memphis. He bought an equipment company, and I just remember he had a big yellow truck we called big. It was like a Mack truck with the bulldog on the front. And I remember driving around with him, installing boilers, and, you know, he became an equipment salesman for a while. So that was like industrial equipment and processing. That's my earliest memories, and that was kind of our pastime together. My dad wasn't like into sports or anything. We just worked hard, and I always worked with my family, and so that's kind of
That's how I'm raising my
that's
son.
who I became, was kind of emulating, you know, the things I saw him do. So.
Yeah, that's 4 generations. That's awesome to hear. You don't hear stuff like that much anymore.
Yeah, it's a rare thing. I've been lucky enough to, most of the things I've done in my life have been things that my grandfathers or great grandfathers have done. I feel like I've lived little bits of their lives through the things that I do, and it's not intentional. It's just where I find myself. So I like to think that I'm honoring them and kind of carrying on a tradition in whatever means it is.
Now, you said that your family was not necessarily like anti-government, but you do question things about the government. Were you naturally skeptical of authority like your entire life, or is that something, was there a certain thing that happened that made you kind of shift that way?
Yeah, my mom, she's always like made very strange friends. I'll just say it that way. They're beautiful people, but you know, people from all walks of life. She's just very open like that, and she ended up getting a cassette tape of a guy that was in prison for a while, and then he discovered kind of like the Illuminati conspiracy super early, and he was doing talks, you know, and you know, this was back in the day, cassette tapes. And my mom loved going shopping for antiques. She's a big antiquer and thrifter, and I was just over it at that point in my life. So I would just stay in the car, and I found that cassette tape, and I popped it in, and I listened to it. And the guy described how the dollar, the back of the dollar, where you see the eagle and the pyramid, how it was pentagrams, and he told you over the tape how to draw it out to match the certain points from the olive leaves to the head. And I did that, and it just blew my mind. And that from that point on, it was like taking the blinders off. I saw everything in the government in a new light. The things he described, I saw as I matured, I saw them unfolding and seeing. So it was like a very early introduction to like the shadow government. And once I was able to perceive that, everything changed for me. Like my school experience, my church experience, like everything I saw through that lens. And so it made it very easy for me to kind of identify trappings in life that people generally don't recognize until they're middle-aged.
So I know you said that you work with your father at a young age and started like building machines and watching him with do installs and stuff like that, and you would participate. Did you already have that mindset as a kid where you would look at something like a radio and you would like take it apart and mess with it to see how it worked and that kind of stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. If I had a favorite toy, like I would take it apart just to see how it worked. Like immediately, if I was intrigued by something, then my next level of investigation was how exactly does it work? So it was, my ultimate goal is to be able to take it apart and put it all back together again and have it work perfectly. And then I felt like I fully understood that thing. And then I had like even more admiration for it.
Down there crying
I don't
because
like
he wants
not
me to feed
understanding things. It's something that it's kind of, I have a obsessive mind about that. If there's something that I'm fascinated about and I don't understand exactly how it works, it's something that like really, it weighs on me. And so I have to dive deeper until I at least have a basic understanding of how it functions.
Yeah, I'm the same way. There was a while where anything I was interested in, you see about 30 books on my bookshelf about that topic, and it used to drive my wife insane. And that's all I would talk about while I was learning it. So for like that 3 months or 6 months or whatever, she would know what I know. Because I'm like, did you know that? And she's like, oh my gosh, not again. You get 5 minutes. You get 5 minutes, and then you have to shut up. Like, all right, fair. That's fair. How much of your engineering knowledge came through formal education, and how much was through like practical experimentation with your family?
It's all through practical experimentation. School is very useless. My brain works at a pace that doesn't match what schooling works. I feel like school is paced out to try to extract as much time and energy and often money from you as possible.
Yes,
I work at a
sir.
pace that's much faster, so I like to
Learn on my own.
It's quick and fast for me, and then I get right to the issues that are most difficult to understand, and I spend majority of my time trying to understand those. And I feel like schooling slow rolls you through the basics, and then they hold off on the things that are most difficult to understand. And that's the opposite of how I want to work. I want to just blow through the basics and get right to the hardest part to understand and really get to the nuts and bolts of it.
That's right.
And I feel like
try it out.
once you understand the most difficult part, then any of the other basic things that you may
just
have a
figure it out.
misconception about, that they're easy to fix down the line. So it's a hard
like
and
the way this
fast.
man's mind
I'm a
works.
rapid prototyper, so I get right to the heart of the issue, and then I start to make functional units, and then from there I'll work on the small details instead of being like obsessed on every small detail all the way to the point of the key factor. Like I get right to the key and then figure that out and then work backwards from there.
Tighten the muscles.
Yeah, I mean, some of the most brilliant minds in the world, some of the best inventions came from people that weren't formally educated. So I think that's important. And actually something that's, 4 generations, just imagine what you're passing along. The expertise, the details, that's not something you're probably going to learn in school.
Yeah, it's a lot just for me, just watching, it's like absorbing through experience is a much better way to learn than to in a formal environment. There's so much dynamics that they can never replicate. Being able just to go out there and hit the wrenches, that's the best way to learn.
What was the first major failure of your career?
Really, the striking off into like a new industry. Basically, I took all of my knowledge and expertise of the textile processing and applied them to the new cannabis and hemp industry. Basically, it's the same processes that you use to clean and process textiles. You use to extract botanicals. So it was a new, exciting industry, and so we basically, struck out. I moved to Seattle, left Nashville, and that story is kind of the reason we left Nashville is because my brother was arrested for running a grow operation, and basically the whole Nashville 5th Division in Nashville is like they work direct with the DEA. They're all plainclothes officer, and they were following my family around, hopping out with guns, and it was a very difficult time. So, and that was after we had the largest dry cleaners in Nashville, and in 2010 there was a flood, and it just destroyed our whole facility. And we had a choice to continue our dry cleaning facility, or at the time we were doing the defense contracting, cleaning the bulletproof vests, and so we had over $1 million of vests on the floor. We had over $1 million of inventory of people's clothes on the floor. So we could save one or the other. So we decided to save the bulletproof vest program, and so we built a facility, and they guaranteed we were getting the contract. It was a process that I developed, so no one else could really do it. And we built the facility out. We processed pretty much their whole inventory. And then right when the moment where we were supposed to get the permanent contract, it was like a 5-year guarantee, the whole contracting division got shut down. So it's like all our contacts, all the work that we did, all the promises, they just evaporated. So then we're just left with a facility that we couldn't really do anything with. And so
how did that impact you, like as a person and as a business owner? How did that make you feel?
It was hard because I felt like, that I provided the dry cleaner was a trap, even though we were the largest dry cleaners in Nashville, and we did a lot of revenue. Like the debt was overbearing. There was just, we were working just to pay debt. The equipment was wearing out. We're going to have to start replacing equipment, and we just wouldn't have the money for it. So it was a dead end. So I felt like it was like a gift for us to have that government contract. It was a way for my family to get out from underneath the debt burden of the dry cleaning operation, and for it to have just pulled out from underneath us. It was really hard. And then, transitioning into the cannabis, I felt like, again, it was another gift. It was like, oh, look, we can take all these skills we have and apply them here. And, that was very successful, and that we built that up. And then, that ended up getting snatched away from me also. So it was another like two heartbreaking scenarios in a row where, for all intents and purposes, you built it, it's working. It's like, life-sustaining funds that you could keep going forever, and then for factors out of my control, they just get pulled away, and I'm left with nothing, and I have to start over from some scratch again. So to have that like happen twice within a 5-year period, it was real tough, and it makes you second guess yourself. It makes you not want to jump out and start the next. But I always try to remember that there's always a greater plan than my own, and for whatever reason, these things usually unfold for a good purpose. And the CO2 equipment is dangerous, and I feel like if I would have stayed in that role at the CO2 processing for the botanicals, that it could possibly ended my life. So being able to have it pulled from me, it probably in the long run saved me from detrimental injury. And the industry ended up kind of collapsing anyway, so I didn't really lose out on anything. In hindsight, it was the best thing that could happen. So again, I just took what I learned from those experiences and just tried to reapply it. And it sent me in a kind of a whirlwind for a while. I worked with some great people out in Colorado running their lab. That lab shut down, and then I came to Oklahoma to try to start a lab. That ended up shutting down, but that led me into realizing my wife was super talented, and she was just a stay-at-home mom, and just as a side product, she was able to build a really successful business. And I saw her skills, and I saw how talented she was, and I realized that I was making the wrong partners. That I had the best business partner at home. Yeah. So we decided to take my talents and energies and combine them with her talents, and it's been great ever since. It's just been slow and steady momentum, which is the best type of momentum. When I was young, I wanted something hard and fast. I just wanted it overnight. But it's really best to build a business slowly, because you learn as you go, and when you do make mistakes, they're small mistakes. They don't cost you a lot, and you can adapt and overcome them easier than when you grow really fast. Those mistakes cost you everything sometimes. So it's been a blessing. It's the best decision I ever made. It's been great for our family. It's been great for our relationship. So again, like even though these things were really hard for me at the time, I look back on them and I have very fond memories of those hard times, because they were the stepping stones to allow me to get to where I needed to be, in a place where I could be with my family, be in the country, be on a farm, but still be able to reach lots of people and help lots of people. So it's like the two things that I like best without sacrificing, my favorite things about life is just, solitude and being with my family. So being able to reach people and help people and communicate with people, but not sacrifice my solitude and my time with my family. I've been gifted both of those, and I think that's a very rare thing to get.
Yeah, I would agree. Sound like you're very blessed. Those unfortunate events have put you in a much better situation, and like you said, it took some time.
I just have been born with
5+ years, but I see that a lot of times with people.
Just don't get it.
Especially like in their 20s,
Doesn't
early
seem fair.
30s. They want like that get rich quick scheme, or they get all these kind of like unrealistic promises from people. Like, yeah, we can go into business together. We'll, for example, like pick up dog poop. Now, there's successful
really
dog poop businesses.
Butt.
There are.
And
but they're like, yeah, we'll go and we'll pick up poop from everyone's house. And then after we pick up the poop, they pay us. And they're like, that's the business? Like, yeah, that's the business. You're like, okay, how do we scale that? Well, we get more poop.
Yeah.
And then we hire more people. And then you start seeing, like, in your head, you're like, there's all this overhead that's starting to build up, But in your case, you get to basically work mostly from home. Like you said, you have the best partner who's also your business partner who has these talents. So, yeah, very, very blessed situation. Now, along with this, obviously, you've had some tough times. What is the hardest truth you've had to accept about yourself?
That my
ready
shortcomings
for that RSO to kick in.
can't be overcome.
Hello, darling.
That you have to
Hello,
just accept
love.
the things that you're not good at.
Why is it
And
not show?
there's
It
no
shows.
amount of
Dude, they
of
changed
working
the
or
app
retooling
now.
that are gonna really
Instead
change
of
that. You can
having your
improve them,
letters
but
are
you just,
blue,
at
now
some
it's
certain
your letters are
point in
white
your
with a
life,
blue
you just have to
shield
accept
next
yourself
to
for
it.
who you are.
I'm never
and,
gonna be able to
stop being
realize
ashamed
that's
of your
mods.
shortcomings, and just realize that
I
you have to
need
surround
the
yourself
blue
with people
color to
that
tell my eye.
that benefit from those shortcomings. It's
I am
gaps
literally
in
so
you
full
that
of
they can
poop. Look at
feel.
this.
And so
I look like I'm
you
16
know,
weeks pregnant.
it was hard for me
It's
to.
all poop.
It was a selfish mindset to think
Underneath
that
my
like you had to be
muscles.
the end all to be all.
My
But
ab
realizing
muscles are
that
like being
you're always going to have
pushed-
gaps and you need people around you to
pushed to
fill
the
those
capacity.
gaps. It makes you
Oh, let's do this.
you have to become humbled
Okay.
in your own shortcomings and realize that you are dependent on those people. And so you
can almost like
it's scary to feel that way
see the
sometimes,
poop
especially when you've had
pushing.
tough business relationships or relationships in the past. People betrayed you or
Look at
failed
a
you.
disgusting fucking
But you just
pig.
have to succumb to that.
This
And
is
you just
not
have
a
have
place
faith
to be
that
nasty.
if you do right
I'm just
by
like
people, that
a
they'll do
girl
right
in
by
my
you.
room.
And give
Don't be
people
a
the benefit of the
pervert.
doubt. Allow people to show you who they are.
At no
Like,
point
don't
am I
just
doing
assume that
anything
someone's gonna
that
be a
is
certain way because you think
suggestive.
that about
You are
them, or
porn brained if you
see
think
traits
what
in
I'm
them.
doing
Like,
has
allow
any
them
sexual
to
anything to it.
to fail you.
That's
basically.
porn brain.
And often you'll be surprised how
Women
people are
existing
generally good. Like, if you
aren't
give them a chance
just
and you give them
innately
responsibility, like,
for your
people don't
sexual
like
pleasure.
doing people wrong generally. There's a very rare person that just gets pleasure out of taking advantage of people. Like, generally, if you give people grace and you allow them to kind of come in your circle and you give them trust, like, they'll honor
No,
that.
I'm
and
not
they'll
a
do
Christian.
their best to see it through. And if they don't, you just give them grace and forgive them. It's
There are plenty of
we're not
skeezy
perfect.
men out
Everyone
there who
fails
even want
at
me,
certain points
trust
in their
me.
lives. So it was hard for me to stop
Men
taking
don't care
taking
at what
everything so
it looks
personally.
like as long as it's warm and wet.
And I still
You
deal
don't
with
care.
it. But
So.
putting myself in people's shoes and understanding where I failed people, really examining
That's
where
weird.
where I've come short with people and how they could see that as me betraying them when really it was just the scenario.
Let me see if maybe your
understanding
privileges
that
are.
more than likely when someone's done something that wasn't the best for you, it wasn't personal. It was just the circumstances, and you can't really help that a lot of times.
I can't edit it.
More of the engineering invention side of things. You describe yourself as a CO2
Why would I hang out at a
architect
truck stop?
with approximately 25 years of experience
Yes,
designing
my chat is very
industrial
weird
CO2
and mean.
systems. And
Don't
as you
know
said,
why.
It's also been handed down from your
There's
family
something
for,
about
for
me.
generations.
There's
So what does a CO2 architect?
there's something about my existence that makes people very frustrated. I'm misunderstood instantly, and people, just whatever their own personal life experience is, they tend to just go default to that. And people tend to use me as a receptacle for all of their self-hatred, People who have absolutely no emotional regulation, no ability to self-regulate their emotions, tend to find my live stream, and then they will they'll look around. They're literally screaming in the chat saying, "Oh my God, she's so awful. She's so disgusting." Da, da, da. It's like, yeah, you think I'm awful and disgusting, but so why are you consuming the content? You're looking around the room telling everybody, I smell shit. I'm eating shit right now. Shit is in my face. It's you have the ability to get rid of it right out of your face. It's the easiest thing ever. All you have to do is swipe away. But people choose to stay and complain. And I am so grateful. If I had to do everything all over again, I'd do it all the same. Because I love the fact that there's something about my appearance that makes assholes announce themselves when they walk in a room. You know what I'm saying? Please, oh no. Oh no. An asshole is gonna announce himself when he walks into a room? You mean this jerk off is gonna fucking tell me? Where's my laptop charger? There she is right there. Where's the laptop charger part, Elliot? I don't know. Oh, my tablet is dead. I know that. I wanna know what love is. I gotta go get my brick. All right, let me see. I'm gonna undo your mod. So I'm gonna undo it and redo it. So just give me a second. I'm gonna remove you as a mod. Add as a mod. Can manage, okay. All right, I just re-modded you. See if that makes a difference. Yes, shoulder rehab, yes. Yeah, and I'm also trying to get both of my, I want them to be the same size, but my left side is slightly bigger than my right side right now. And my wings down here, it's not as big as I want it to be here, but it's pretty big over here. So I want to like try to even out my arms because this arm is, you know, pretty good. This muscle is getting to be pretty big right here. So I need to start working on these muscles back there. That's what we're going to be doing here soon. Okay. It's 8 o'clock. I gotta go get Elliot.
Architect actually do?
So it's integrating different CO2 technologies into a system. So generally you have different aspects or companies that make a product in and around the CO2 realm, but there's nobody to take those individual products and integrate them into a larger system. So taking a resource like CO2 and sharing it across multiple kind of engineering solutions. There's really no one doing that. So CO2 can replace a lot of different things, be it a solvent, refrigeration, fire suppression. So the idea is to take all these independent, vendors that only know their product, only know their industry, and be able to take that single resource and apply it over a broad spectrum of solutions.
What's the most complex or dangerous system you've ever designed or operated?
The CO2 extraction systems, they're large, they're basically continuous duty, and then you're dealing with materials that have a lot of adulterants in them. So like botanicals in the field, they have soil, grit, silica, and then generally you're extracting oils from them. So it introduces a lot of wear into the machine. And so whenever you go to kind of maintenance the machine, that's the most dangerous part. Whenever you're taking something apart in the machine and putting it back together, every time you do that, you know, these are high pressure
No more
machines.
bus.
So we're working like 100 bar of pressure. And
Actually,
CO2,
my bus needs to find
it's
a
in
new
liquid
place,
form,
and
it's pressurized
unfortunately,
liquid,
I don't have a
and
place
so
for it
once
to go.
it's
So
not like a
it's
compressed
gonna
air
end up
that
getting
once the
scrapped.
pressure
I
goes
think
away,
it's
it's
gonna end.
gone.
I'm gonna end up
The
losing
liquid
my
just
bus for
continues to
real.
make pressure. So if you ever have the event where you have a fitting fail or a hose fail, it's not just like, oh, it's
I
going
want
to
to give it away to
depressurize.
somebody,
No, it's
but
just
I don't
gonna
know who to
keep
give it to.
blowing
Like, I don't know
pressure
any
until
single
all the
moms.
liquid is gone. And it can asphyxiate you. So, you know, not only do you have the danger of the pressure itself and the potential for it to create projectiles through the high pressure release, but then you have the possibility of being asphyxiated. So you while you're scrambling trying to fix the leak, you slip and fall, and the CO2 is heavy. It takes a few breaths of that CO2, and you'll basically go to sleep. And if there's no one there to recover you, you're gonna die. So it's like a silent killer. So the pressure is scary, but the pressure combined with the asphyxiation makes it, you know, doubly scary. But on the other side, the CO2 is benign other than the asphyxiation. So where I was usually replacing solvents that, you know, give you cancer or give you liver damage. So they're like long-term killers. So the CO2 is like, you know, I call it an open casket versus a closed casket. The CO2 will kill you, but, you know, you'll be preserved in that moment, where these other dangerous solvents and refrigerants, they're going to kill you over a long period of time.
All right, I just texted a single mom that I know, and
It'll be a
maybe
long
she
suffering,
might
you
know
know. So,
where to.
For the most, with good
Maybe she
engineering
knows
and
somebody who's
understanding
in
of the
need.
dangers, and you design the
I'd rather give my
environment
bus to a single
appropriately,
mom
and you
who is
reduce
like
the
homeless,
exposure, and you have the
or
right
to like a
SOPs
single
for
dad, or
maintenance, and you have a good manufacturer, you know, manufacture your machine, you use good components, and it's pretty safe. But, you know, as soon as you start to cut any of those corners, it can become very dangerous. And so that's another part of kind of the CO2 architect is helping people navigate those dangers and avoid, you know, putting their employees in unnecessary risk.
I spoke to a guy that worked for, he was basically a hacker. He was a cybersecurity expert for Raytheon, and he was one of the principal engineers. And he basically said everything that he's seen, that obviously he can't talk about most of it, is about 50 years ahead of what's out on the market, which is almost a whole generation for humans.
And that's crazy to think about. Think about what our technology was like 50 years ago, and they're 50 years ahead of that. So it's a scary thing to think about, but always find comfort in the government's incompetency. So I know that even though they may have, you know, very advanced technology, at the end of the day, there's bureaucrats pulling the strings. So there's not a lot of danger that will come from them unless someone competent, you know, gets a hold of it and gets control. But I don't see that really changing anytime soon. It seems like the personalities get elected in positions of power, and personalities aren't always that sharp.
This is a two-parter. So first part of the question is, what is aeroponic cultivation? And then second part is, how did you become involved in that and vertical growing technology?
Aeroponic cultivation is the mediumless growing. So using atomized droplets of water that basically pass through the membrane of a root, you know, to deliver nutrients and water to the roots without a medium. So a medium would be like soil, or like a hydroponic growing medium, be it cocoa, which is coconut shell, or clay rocks, or what have you. The idea was, I saw that there was going to be a scarcity of topsoil, that our topsoil is what allows us to grow cheap food. It's an accumulation of organic material through natural means over a millennia. And we've basically been taking that resource and plundering it and growing lots of cheap food in this mass, you know, mono culture. But that's running out. and now we're dependent.
I might have found a
on
home for the
synthetic
bus.
fertilizers to ensure that the food can grow. But eventually, the soil.
I knew if I messaged her, as soon as I said, I don't know any single.
Our food system.
I know a single mom.
And the idea of cheap and abundant food is going to disappear. And so I saw this as a solution to not.
Oh, guys. Hey, so just so you're aware, fertilizer is like really expensive right now. Farms in the United States are literally not able to afford to buy fertilizer. So not only are there going to be food shortages, but the people who don't have food shortages are probably going to be using human shit as fertilizer. So just if nothing else comes from this whole Taylor Farms like cyclospora outbreak, it should be that everybody realizes how easy it is to grow lettuce, and it's literally a weed. Like, it will grow in the cracks of concrete. So all you have to do is just go in your yard and throw a bunch of different, like a lettuce mixture, just throw it in the grass, and then just like water that area of the grass every day, and you will have enough lettuce to feed your family right there in your yard. So you should be growing your own lettuce. It's not political advice. It's food. Might have found a single mom who can take the bus. Okay. I'm texting this lady. Hold on. I have a 40-foot flat nose bus that needs relocating and I don't have a place to park it. The landowner needs it gone or wreckers are coming. I'd rather give it to someone in need than lose it to the scrapyard. It has low miles and it deserves to be converted fully and loved. It isn't live on the road ready, but it does run and can go from where it is now to a new home. But until you have it checked all out, I wouldn't suggest that. It has a small counter space behind the driver's seat with a propane 3i built in. The floor is plywood. I've lived in it for 5 years on my own land and then at this friend's place. It is a big bus, 300 square feet of living space. So I want to give it to someone who can handle it and is willing to take it on rather hand it over than it is wasted. So that's what I said. I also want to facilitate someone's manifestation if possible. You know? I just said that to her too. Let's see what she says. Oh yeah, I didn't press play. I really wish I could poop already.
Food into areas where the populations are. So it's kind of a quagmire in that we grow food in rural areas and then we truck it into populated areas. And so where the food needs to be, there's very little food grown. But I saw abundance of infrastructure that could be used to grow food that was sitting, unused. When I was developing this technology, it was kind of like during the first wave of collapse of the American big box economy. So I saw these warehouses and these big box stores with abundant water, abundant electricity, air conditioning units on it. And I was like, well, that's an unused resource. How can we take this unused resource and provide something that's a necessity for the people that live in and around these big box stores? Because the big box stores are exactly where you need the food, right? That's in populated areas that have little or no access to topsoil or agricultural kind of production. So it was a means for me to try to create a solution that could take unused resources and make them kind of benefit the populations around it. And so we built I lived in Antioch, Tennessee, and it was the south of Nashville, and it was kind of when Tennessee was gentrifying their downtown areas. They would take the projects that they had in and around the downtown areas, kind of where all the floodplains were, and they would basically shut them down, and they would ship everyone that lived in the projects to apartment complexes that happened to be in and around the Antioch area. And so because of that, you had a mix of demographics that were kind of like these were hoods, if you will. And, each hood kind of had a long generational beef with each other where, it's the nature of kind of like the projects, that each project is their own clique. And then they were mixing all these people together in these apartment complexes that were living next to just regular medium income families. And so it created a lot of crime and issues. So Antioch just started to kind of decline. And so there's a big mall in Antioch, the Hickory Hollow Mall. It became like crime central. Nobody wanted to go there. It became empty. All the big anchor stores that were kind of like around the mall all became empty. So we took a abandoned Office Max with the permission of the owner. The city never unhooked the power or the water to it. So
Make sure they're in the kitchen, I think. Make sure that you guys wait, Elliot.
And I developed.
Go clean up all the stuff that's outside of the garage. All your.
It's the same form factor that they use.
Yeah, go ahead. Make sure to clean up all of the equipment, Elliot.
So we set up vertical farm in the back of this abandoned office max, and then on the weekends we would
Yeah.
sell produce to.
I mean, you can play in our front yard for a little while longer, but no more across the street. Okay, it's getting too late to be across the street.
Bring fresh local produce to people that otherwise wouldn't have had access to it. We were able to take EBT, and there was a lot of community.
They're not changing the carpet right now. They're changing it.
Freeman
Monday.
the owner, he was great to work with.
Going through this?
He allowed
Monday.
us to go in there and do it. I'll never forget. He said it's better to ask for forgiveness than to ask for permission. And so that's always stuck with me. I was like, he's right. When you're doing something that's not outright illegal, it's a lot easier just to ask.
Did you see how I organized them?
Something that's not on the up and up exactly. So that I learned a lot from that, from just being able to build something from scratch, to engaging with the community, and just trying to do good works and figuring out how the economics of it can work after the fact, which isn't a great business kind of approach, but it was a great learning experience for me.
I wonder what she said.
What's your thoughts on?
Yeah, go please drink water.
Yeah, anything lab grown.
Very interested.
I find that whenever we synthesize, and
Thanks, baby.
some chemist is like, hey, this molecule is just like this molecule we find in nature. Just like is a very general term, there's always nuances, and that, though on paper it may look like the same molecule and it may taste the same, I think we find time and time again that there's complexity in life that we don't fully understand. We don't understand that until we synthesize something and we introduce it into, our kind of daily living, and then we get issues from it. So I think time and time again, it's been proven that when you go and synthesize something that's 90% close to something that's found in nature, it's often that 10% is the thing that ends up coming back and biting you. If it doesn't cause direct harm to the human itself, it causes harm to your biome, and we're more biome than we are human. So there's more DNA of the bacteria that lives in and amongst us and on our bodies than our own DNA. So at some point you have to realize that you're feeding your culture than more than yourself. So if you don't fully understand what it's doing to all of you, and that's including your biome, then you're probably treading in dangerous territory. And we have a few millennia of experience of natural living, and it's gotten us this far. So I try to steer as close to that kind of tradition than to veer off into new territory.
Please be extra careful about money, Bubbas.
Like to use new science.
Babe,
there's great.
be extra careful about money, okay? Getting outside.
Substances.
And I'm gonna keep you're gonna play up here.
You just have to
Did you drink water?
Caution heavier than you would for something
You are
that has
overheating. Go stand in front of the AC for a minute, maybe.
like natural
Take your socks off
products.
so you can cool
I
down.
think
Sorry, baby.
one of the things I've seen is antibiotics will mess up the bacteria in your whole body, because if you have a infection in your finger and it gets to the point where it's starting to spread, it's getting infected.
Elliot, take your socks off. Take off your socks
Antibiotics kill all bacteria.
so that you can cool down. You're way overheating. Your face is purple.
They kill all the good and the bad bacteria.
He's in the potty, Elliot. Give him a
Your
minute.
biome is infected, and in some cases the rest of your life. And they're seeing very interesting studies. I'm sure you've probably seen a lot of this stuff, but
You should go stand in front of the air
bacteria
conditioning
from
unit.
Someone who is healthy, they can, we'll say feces. They can take feces from a person.
Oh,
who is healthy,
use a baby
and
wipe.
has no
The
autoimmune
baby
issue,
wipes
for
are right
example,
there. Throw it in
and
the
implant
trash.
it in someone who has autoimmune issues, and then that person will start to have the benefits of better health, and vice versa. If you have someone who has like type 2 diabetes and
Sorry, I have to buy
let's
toilet
say-
paper for
what's
guests.
it
We
called?
just use baby wipes.
The brain lesions and stuff, multiple sclerosis.
Yeah.
And you have someone who has like multiple sclerosis, and you take their feces and you put it into a person who's healthy, then they'll start to have problems. So it's very interesting, like you say, and then even like the vagus nerve is very greatly affected by your stomach. So I know, like when I was younger, especially, I would have stomach issues, and then it would start to trigger emotional and anxiety issues.
See, that's
And I
what
never
Josh
knew at
has.
first. I assumed it was anxiety causing my upset stomach.
I was literally just telling him today that his stomach shit is
Because I took a lot
anxiety.
of antibiotics as a kid because I had like tooth infections and stuff, and it messed me up pretty bad from that point of view for a long time. So I do find it very interesting that you're talking about the microbiome piece, and that's something that I'm sure you'll probably dig more into, as you go. But you also mentioned at one point you grew bacterial cellulose. for some of your experiments. Can you explain some of that?
Yeah, so that's another project that I'm working on. That it's one of those things that I feel like the market's starting to become mature on. But bacteriocellulose is basically a symbiotic relationship of a yeast and acetic acid bacteria. The yeast turns sugar into alcohol. The acetic acid bacteria turn the alcohol into a class of different acids, 5 or 6 different acids, depending on which acetic acid bacteria you're working with. But the byproduct of that is that it creates this perfect lattice work of cellulose. And so it's extremely uniform, it's extremely dense, and it's highly pure. There's very little impurities in it. And so cellulose is like the most useful form of natural product that we have. Like our world is built on cellulose. People really don't appreciate how much of everything that we have in this modern world that is because of cheap cellulose. But my main kind of prospects to make use of this byproduct of this fermentation is to create alternatives to polymer bandages and kind of skin replacements, and also for the polymers that are used in batteries. So I'm sure everyone's seen like a YouTube of a battery, bursting into flames. It looks like a Roman candle bursting out one side of the battery, and it's because batteries
are so rude.
Basically layers of electrolytes with separators in between, and it allows them to.
So the reason, honestly, here's the reason why I don't block the comments. Honestly, one, I am a free speech absolutist. I believe everybody has a right to let us know loudly that they are stupid, and who am I to take away their right? Also, it doesn't matter if the comments are good or bad. The algorithm just sees comment. And so when they comment, it will inevitably make more people come. And like, let's just be real. Like, I have a kink for being bullied, so I'm the right person for it. But I actually get paid. Every view, the amount of time that people stay in the chat, and like whether they're like, saying nice things and enjoying it, or they're saying awful things and they're miserable and hate watching, the algorithm doesn't care. It pays me the same. So I genuinely support everybody's right to be a jerk. Yeah, babe, go ahead. Actually, there's like 2. No.
No, there's more marshmallows.
Can you throw these in the trash downstairs first? They're dry and gross. Yes, you can have up to 5 marshmallows each. That's it. You're welcome. Also, and you, Levi, have you eaten dinner yet? You ate dinner? Okay. Damn, one of those boys took a shit. It stinks. I would literally never get a job at Walmart or McDonald's. You couldn't pay me enough money to work at a place like that.
The number of separators
slave labor
you have that changes
no
the voltage of the batteries. So batteries
For
are
a
getting
mega
higher
corporation?
and higher voltages. That means more and more separators.
No thanks.
And these separators
I'm
are
not
made
stupid.
from polyethylene. And
I
the
just
reason
learned how
that
to, like,
batteries fail when they get hot
a
is
valuable
that
asset
polyethylene
in the
gets
world,
soft and
so
shrinks
I work for myself.
when it gets hot.
And
so
I earn
that dictates
enough to
how
pay
fast
for
you
this
can charge
lovely
a battery
house.
or how fast you can discharge a battery.
And that's pretty much it.
So it gives off heat as a byproduct of that. And
all I can
these
afford.
separators shrink, and it basically allows the battery to short from cell to cell. And so that's when you see that runaway explosion. That's when the polyethylene separator has shrunk some from the heat of you using it, and it causes a runaway effect where you basically have this battery turn into a bomb. And so bacteriocellulose is almost immune to heat, so it doesn't shrink, and it has better properties as a battery separator than polyethylene. And so developing the means to consistently make the thicknesses needed, and the uniformity is easy. It does that naturally, but to have the precise thicknesses that you need and be able to make it in a kind of a laboratory environment when it's a natural product is a combination. It's much like the aeroponics, where you're taking something that's completely natural and you're bringing it into this like laboratory environment and trying to make it work. So it's in my wheelhouse, and it's something I'm developing. But the real key to it, which is another nuance in my life, just how everything ties together, is how you dry this bacteriocellulose. to be able to, that perfect lattice work that the acetic acid bacteria creates this cellulose with, it collapses on itself if you don't dry it properly. And so the best way to dry it is with supercritical CO2. So the CO2 is a really small molecule. It goes in there and it'll pull the moisture out of it without it collapsing. So when you dry it naturally, the water turns to a gas and it expands a lot when it does that. And so it ruptures that lattice work that the bacteria makes. Well, when you use the supercritical CO2 to dry it, it's removing the liquid water. So there's no disruption to the matrix that's been created by the bacteria cellulose. So you get a perfect structure.
Are you guys
so,
in here?
you know, it's
Okay, maybe go
again,
outside
just being
and clean up
blessed
all
with
of
the
equipment and
knowledge
bring it back in the garage.
of being able to operate this equipment and design it, that and then being in the business of creating these ferments that create this bacteria cellulose. So it's just creating
I'm gonna move this
the
laundry to the side.
synergies
Try not
of
to
things
step
that I
right
had
on
prior
it, okay?
experiences with. And I actually have the CO2 machine now. That was the big missing factor for me. Like, I can create all the bacteria cellulose. I know how to create it the exact thickness that I needed. But the CO2 machines are really expensive. But luckily, because that industry of botanical extractions has collapsed, these CO2 machines that were like $200,000 you can get for like $7,000 now. So I have my own CO2 machine now. It's big enough to do a whole bolt. So I just it's in my lab right now. I just have to finish the lab out. There was some damage done in shipping, so that's kind of held me up. But I feel like I'll be able to move this forward, and the next year I'll be able to actually have like a working prototype of a bacteria cellulose battery.
Yeah, I mean, it's fun because you think about it, you're like Mr. Wizard. You get to kind of, like, you have your business and you're making money and you're doing the stuff with your wife and everything else, but you also get to, like, experiment and play with things and do chemistry and all that stuff, you know?
Yeah,
Sounds like a dream.
I'm just a big kid when it really comes down to it. Like, I dream up ideas, and you know, the God's the greatest planner, and he just puts the wheels in motion, and the things come available for me. So I just always try to keep my intentions in the right place, that whatever I'm doing is going to benefit everyone, and then I feel like everything else just kind of lines itself up for me.
Have you ever come up with an idea and pitched it to your wife and she's just like, no?
No, she's learned that even though she doesn't understand like the off the wall idea, that she's seen them come to fruition enough times that she's a believer now. So as much as she doesn't understand it, she just shakes her head and she's like, yeah, I'll get it when I see it. Like, because she knows if I'm thinking about it, that it's just a matter of time before.
Getting strong.
Before,
I used to not be able to do a single push-up.
I'll make it happen. I don't mind failing, so you know, it's something that, you know, I learn from my failures. So I'll just she called me Captain Send It. I'll just put it together and make it work, just so I can see it work in some fashion, and then I'll figure out the details that are wrong after the fact.
So now, shifting gears, after decades working in, you know, industrial technology and engineering, why did you and Jess choose to build a farm in rural Oklahoma?
Well, it was really, we came to Oklahoma and we loved it. It's the pioneering spirit, and it's kind of like a full circle for me. Like, I was born in Chickasaw County. Like, I was born in the homeland of the natives, and then I found myself in the lands of where they were displaced. And you know, it's shocking how many people have native heritage here. Like, there's so many people that, you know, you would see them just like, oh, that's just another Caucasian person. But no, it's like majority of the people here are, you know, have Native American heritage. They're on the list. They're on the tolls. They have the native plates, and I can just see the generation by generation the detrimental effects of modern living on these people, and it's that they couldn't identify it because they've lived in it their whole lives. So they couldn't see the shortcomings of the way they were living that was causing, you know, the ailments that they were dealing with. That every generation that they were.
How do I keep a job with the tattoos? I own my own business.
Previous generation, where we have like childhood diabetes.
I don't give anyone power over me. The only person who has any power over my employment is me. Like, if I just do my job like I'm supposed to. And the lucky thing for me is that I am really good at my job. So I can look any way I want. Shit, I forgot to close the store. that Levi's parents? Clean up the stuff outside. You cannot be I wonder how much RSO it would take to put my dick in the dirt. Because I've been trying to kinda. I mean, like, we all should be self-sufficient in that kind of way. 10 out of 10. Listen, if I can own my own business and I'm an income poop, okay, you can do it, trust me. You know, it's not that hard to like for some person with a lot of yard who needs help. Everybody who has a lot of yard needs help, and most people who have money will pay you to help them with their yard. Are you in? Okay, I want you to just drink some water and sit in front of the AC for a minute. Did you close the garage? Why don't you set up your game stuff so that you can sit in front of the AC? Good job. I've got your cord. Because I needed to charge my tablet. I've got like 51%. You can have this white cord. Green acres. You know where our watch is? It was on the bathroom floor when I found it. Here, baby, come get this. No. You've got young legs. Baby, there's literally gallons of water everywhere.
Roll down the block.
I'm gonna very gently. Oh my gosh! Did it hit you right in your nuts? Oh my gosh. So anyways, there's gallons of active water that we're using right now in the kitchen underneath the kitchen stool. No, but there's cups on the counter with straws in them. You can pour yourself a cup. If you're nervous, you can put the cup in the sink and then pour it that way. But I believe in you. If you spill it, it's okay. It's just water, baby. There's towels all around, okay? No, because the refrigerator's broken. Everything in the refrigerator is bad, and I have to wait. So today was garbage day. So now I didn't have enough, like, I didn't realize, anyways, I should have taken everything out this morning and got it out of the garbage on garbage day, so there's not food sitting in the garbage can. But because I did not do that, now I have to wait a whole nother week. The soda that I made, yeah. I know. I had to actually dump so much of it out because it was about to explode. Because the refrigerator was so hot. I know. So ridiculous. All my food. Listen, I've just moved into this house a month ago. I just bought mayonnaise, mustard, soy sauce, just like all condiments. And now I have to replace them all again. That shit costs like $200, and now I'm just fucked. There's a lot of food in that refrigerator that's just destroyed and ruined. All those mangoes I bought. It's pretty. Well, it's because, Ellie, you guys were gone, and it was hot. And because it was hot, it was carbonating so hard that the bottles were about to explode and break. When I opened the bottle top, one of the like bottle tops literally flew across the kitchen. It was under so much pressure because of the hot temperature. So that's why. The refrigerator is not like hot, but it's like 60 degrees, 40, like 50 degrees. It's like warm for refrigerator. So the freezer is working extra hard because the fan went out. So the way the refrigerator works is the freezer freezes, and then the fan blows cold air down this shaft that goes into the refrigerator area. So if that fan stops working, all the cold air stays in the freezer. So the freezer is sub-zero. And the refrigerator is like meh. It's like the fart of the air freezer instead of a full blast. You can turn that temp down and get it back on again. Okay. East Coast people. I'm from the East Coast originally. I'm from South Florida.
It was my duty to kind of figure out a way to help reduce that burden. So our initial kind of idea was to take my agriculture background.
I guess that we were propagandized in elementary school by the library
production that was
class
collapsing in Oklahoma
with the Oregon Trail
the
because
farmland was getting bought up.
we
by
took the
people
Oregon
that were trying
Trail.
to grow cannabis, and they would just operate for a
came
year
to
or two
Oregon.
and just leave it in a mess. So the idea was
Nobody
that
got
we could go
dysentery.
and get some assets that normally we wouldn't be able to afford and turn them back to agricultural production. Kind of like turn back the tide of misappropriation of resources.
Jesus passed
And
away
so
like
we found a farm in eastern Oklahoma
2,000 years ago.
that's next to the mountains.
So,
Like I have a thing with mountains. I
realistically,
grew up in Las Vegas for a while, and it's like
Jesus
we
himself.
would ski.
Come in, call
it's just
him, get the
mountains are always
tablet.
tied to me. And when I discovered there's mountains in Oklahoma, I couldn't believe it. And there was a property that we could buy that were like at the foot of the
You're probably
mountains.
gonna want to put it on the charger for a minute.
So we just
I should have. I don't know.
reckless abandonment. We had good friends, the Chavez family. We didn't have the means to do it.
My
but
computer?
They supported us and believed in us, and they came up with the money to kind of make the difference up between what we could get a loan for and what the property was. And we came out here and we decided we're just going to make it work. We started growing produce. Never Sink Farms was like big on YouTube at the time. And so we just took like the Never Sink Farm course, and we took everything that he was doing and we applied it here, and it worked great. I mean, we're growing beautiful produce, but we quickly learned
I'm a follower
that the
of
people
Christ,
in Oklahoma,
but I'm not a worshiper of
if they
Christ.
want
And I don't
produce, they'll
believe that
just grow it
Christ was
themselves.
the
That it
actual,
wasn't-
literal, physical
in
Son
our
of
city
God.
mindset, we were thinking we were filling a need by producing all this produce, but in reality, we came to realize that most people just didn't want the produce, and if they wanted it, they could grow it themselves. So then we kind of had to readjust, and it was just kind of a serendipitous thing that we were struggling at the farmer's market. We had been making kombucha for about 10 years at that time, so we're like, let's just take some kombucha in mason jars and see what they think about it. And we took like 12 mason jars of kombucha, and they sold out like in the first 15 minutes. We're like, oh, these people like
I'm not
this.
a natural
and then they were raving
redhead,
about it.
so
So we just started making more and more. And before we knew it, we were bringing, 30 gallons of kombucha to the farmer's market and selling out. And so, we were like, well, this is the way that we can help these people. They may not want vegetables, but if we can get them to stop drinking Dr. Pepper and Mountain Dew.
That's literally what I was just talking about.
Something
That's why I'm
gonna
making
help
that
their
water
gut
kefir for
biome,
my
then
husband and my
everything
son.
they eat from there is going to be better for them, right? It's kind of like looking at the worst offender in their life. Just observing
What?
these people, like what is the most
Fridge is
detrimental
broken,
thing that
yes.
they consume day to day, and we just started to go down that list and try to replace those with something that
The guy will be here Monday with a new fan.
that was going to benefit them and also replace the thing that was detrimental to them. And so it started with the kombucha. Then we started making the ozone oil, ozonated olive oil to kind of replace like people's dependencies on antibiotics. And that took off really well, raving reviews. And then the tallow to replace like these chemical concoctions of lotions and face creams, that took off. And so it's just, that's been the methodology. It's like we look at the people around us and the products they use that they're getting from the big box stores, and what is the most detrimental thing in these people's lives, and we try to come
I
up
have
with
read
a
the Bible in the
alternative
past.
to
I
that.
was
And
raised
we just
Jehovah's
provide it,
Witness.
and God does the rest. The people use it, they feel the benefits from it, and it takes a life of its own.
So Blue Mountain Farm, which is where you guys are at, is what, and that's what you call your business,
Yep.
is publicly described as woman-owned and family-operated. So what responsibilities belong primarily to your wife, and then where do you fit into the whole operation?
Well, that was her. It was her whole operation. I was working as just a consultant for her, developing kind of the products and developing the facility for her, kind of doing what I do for other people. But recently, we've changed that, and I've come on board now. I'm actually on the paper.
Gelatinins are bad for you, bro.
We split ownership, so that's something that we've actually recently dropped, is the woman owned, because we're 50-50 on the business now. And my outside consultant work is a minor portion of my work that I do now. I'm very selective on the projects that I do, and I made myself very expensive, so
No, the Jehovah's Witness Bible is not the Bible. But I grew up Jehovah's Witness. I'm not Jehovah's Witness anymore. But I still grew up under strict religious crap, and
focusing
because
on
I was
letting her focus on her talents
excommunicated at
and
9
taking
years
the
old,
burdens of
I got curious.
the administration and things like that.
So
She
I
wasn't
started studying
necessarily
religion.
that good at
Currently,
that, and it stressed her out a
I
lot.
live
So
a
I tried to relieve her burdens
existence.
and,
I follow
take up
Christ.
the responsibilities that
what
were
Christ
really
said,
weighing her down,
I do that.
stressing her out.
And that's
And
it.
so, yeah, it's
The rest of the
again,
Bible
it's just
isn't for me.
realizing, your
I
gifts
am a
and allowing
student
people
of
to
Christ.
find a role
A
where
studier,
they can
you
use
know,
their,
I study
their
Christ,
God-given
but I am
gifts to
and a
the best
follower of
benefit
Christ,
of the
but I am
company,
not
and
Christian.
reducing the amount of
I
stuff
don't
that
believe
you do
he
that
was
is
some,
not really
you know,
jiving with you,
God
that stresses you
being.
out. And,
I think he
it's
was a
been great.
person,
Ever since
and
we've made
he
that
had
move, it's been
it really
life has been
figured
a
the
lot
fuck
better
out.
for the both of us. So.
So what is working beside your wife? What has that revealed about your marriage that an ordinary marriage might not have revealed? So you have not just the regular everyday, you have the children, you have the household, maybe you have pets and that kind of stuff, but now you have a business and you're 50-50. Have you had any like major challenges, or I guess what are the biggest differences that you see?
Time is the biggest challenge. Like we have, we raise cow-calf pairs, we have chickens, and then we had a cat that showed up that ended up giving birth before we could get it spayed. So now we have the cats to take care of too. So, and then running the business, and then church life, and then we homeschool. And so
Thanks for the
time
$2.
is our
Yes,
biggest
I get
enemy,
all that,
and
but
usually what we
I still don't.
sacrifice is so,
I don't. You got to understand
we-
that the Bible was written by man. Like Jesus didn't write the Bible, other dudes did, and I don't believe 99% of the people who are in power enough to write something and have it be passed down as history, because as we have been able to see with our own eyes, they have lied about literally everything historically. The person who wins is the person who determines what the history books say. So I don't believe that. I do believe that the words that Christ says in the Bible specifically aligns with how I feel humans should just behave. So because that aligns with my morals, it's just a really great, place to go, what will Christ do in this instance? I think I'll do that. So that's just how I live my life. I just live my life doing what Christ would do, and it has served me very well. And I have turned my life completely over to God. I believe in God fully. But do I think that God is like a man? No. I don't believe that God is anything like that. I think God is like it's very personal. But I have been spoken to directly by God When I found this house, like I'd been looking for years for a place. When I found this house, it's because God literally spoke to me and was like, look for a house today, right now. Start looking for a house. You're going to find the one you're meant to be in. And sure enough, found this house. So, it's crazy how shit works out when you get those urges and you're open to it and you listen. Do you just go around saying that in every chat? Are you retarded? Okay, I'll just block this person so that they can't come in my chat and say that again. Yep, that's how I kind of think of it, DJ Normal. I mean, not precise, you know, that's more in alignment with my personal beliefs. I think that Christ was like an ascended master. You know, Christ had it really figured out, and I think it's just a great example to look to. All right, I'm gonna skedaddle. I'm gonna go hang out with my kid and snuggle and spend time with him because I haven't seen him in like 3 weeks because he's been in camp at camp and stuff. So.